I've spent a bit of time looking at your assignments and have made some observations about what are some of your common errors and how to fix them. Let's take a look. I've created a form that summarizes 95% of the errors that I see. At the top, we have a form where we did not change the caption. Again, at number 2, we have a frame for which we did not change the caption. Number 3, we have an odd discrepancy between font size. I like to have the font the same, and you'd typically try to line things up. And last, if you are going to use hotkeys, which you must if you have buttons, please make sure to choose different letters for your hotkeys. It causes problems in how the programs operate. How do you solve these problems? Well, for the first two, make sure you change the caption property of both the form and the frame. For the font sizes, please make sure your font sizes are consistent. And for the last one, make sure that you change the hotkey in your caption. Here I have some sample code which has a number of problems attached to it. If you wish, you may try to puzzle through this program and figure out what the problems are. Well, I guess I've bolded them, so it's pretty easy to figure out. Now let's take a look at my annotations. At the very top, we have command 1. This should have been changed to something along the lines of CMD circle. Remember that command buttons get prefixed with CMD with a lowercase. For input boxes, you should be using titles, so we're missing that. If you make a spelling error in a variable, Visual Basic can be surprisingly forgiving. Unfortunately, in this case, we have got radius as our input, and unfortunately, réduit does not correspond with radius, so the value is 0, and when we go to create area, to calculate area, it will always end up being 0. Last, in the code problems, we create two messages, one for area, one for circumference. That's great. Unfortunately, we are missing the area in our output. Only the circumference will get shown in the message box at the end. And last, we are missing a title on the message box. You'll notice on the left-hand side, I've also asked you to indent. So everything between the private sub and the end sub should be indented one level. So let's take a look at how that looks when we have corrected things. Oh, one final thing, capitalize the C on circumference. Here we have the corrected version. Command circle, circumference has been fixed. We've included a title on the input box. We have corrected the spelling on radius so that now area is calculated correctly. We have inserted a new message box so that this message gets output, and we have added title information on the message box, and of course everything has been indented one level. One last thing I would like to mention is how you go about calculating tax. Both of these code stubs are correct. The second code stub is preferred. While the first one may be technically correct, what you have done is wasted the opportunity to reuse the tax variable. It doesn't make sense to calculate something twice. If you have done it already, you should use that single calculation. Try to minimize the total number of calculations that are repeated in a program. It means that you are less likely to make a mistake. It also means that if you make a mistake in one place, that mistake propagates. However, 1 mistake, 10 mistakes, it doesn't matter. The goal is to reduce the opportunity for mistakes to happen. So the second solution is the better solution, since you add subtotal with tax to give you total. There's no need to go ahead and calculate it once more for your total.